So make sure that whenever you do this move that you're putting yourself in that position where you're connected to the person. You shouldn't get into position and just be like relaxed. Right? You should have like constant pressure on the person. So you're gonna get your foot on the hip. Now, the more you stretch the person out, the easier everything's gonna be. So when I'm here, like I have pretty good control of him, but if I scoop myself away, drive my foot into his hip and really stretch him out, now he's very off balance and very weak in this position. So the more you do that, the better everything's gonna be for you on bottom. Right? You don't have to get that far. Right? Sometimes you won't be able to get that far, but that'll help. So the more you sort of stretch the person out, the less they can do, the easier it's gonna be for you. So really use that foot on the hip. So now the foot that was in the chest is gonna come around, and you're gonna use your knee and your shin to press this arm out of the way. So I want the person on top, just hang on to the belt, and don't hang on like 100%. I want the person on bottom using their knee and shin to break that grip. So the way I do that is I push my knee and shin away. I want to use my knee and shin to sort of turn his body away. As soon as his grip breaks, I'm going to bring the leg over his neck. I'm going to bring my head to the other side and lock up the triangle. Right? You might not be able to get right to this fully locked triangle when you do this. As long as you're getting your feet locked and you have control of the head, you should be able to lock it up. And if you have trouble with that, I'll come on and help. So, collar and sleeve, make sure that you keep the hand at the center of your chest. Foot goes in the hip, scoot yourself away a little bit. Bring your knee out. Drive your knee and shin down to break his grip, and then drive your shin into his shoulder so you turn his body a little bit. Bring the leg up and over, and lock up the triangle. Here. Right, and again, like I said, if you are having trouble getting a fully locked triangle, just get to this. Cross your feet, control the head, and finish. Right? 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to work the same thing, but the guy's going to stand up. So this will, like when you get to here, the guys that are good are going to stand up from this position. Right? But this is why it's so important you keep your foot connected to his hip. If your feet come off, he can just basically do whatever he wants at that position. Keep this foot pressed into the hip, and pull on the collar. That'll keep him bent over and very weak. And then keep this leg away from him. What you don't want to do is let him, grab my leg here. You don't want him to pin this leg down and in between his legs and jump over this way. Okay, so make sure that you keep this leg active. You either keep it pressed into his ribs, or you keep it pulled back like this, or on his shoulder. All right? But you're going to do basically the same thing. The person on top is going to hold onto your belt from here. Right? You bring your knee around, use your knee to break his grip. As soon as the grip breaks, you're going to shoot your leg up over the neck. Now you got to use his body to lift your hips up. All right? So I'm using my right foot on his hip and my left foot over his shoulder here to curl and lift my hips up. I'm going to bring my left leg around his neck, pull the arm across, and lock up the triangle. All right? So, we'll start on the ground like this. As you go to get into position, a lot of times the person stands up. Keep the foot pressed into the hip, keep them bent over. Bring your shin across, break the grip. Make sure that you use your legs to get your body off the floor. So this comes up on his shoulder, start to lift up. And make sure you use the leg around the neck to lift your hips up off the floor. Pull them in. Right? And then lock the triangle. So sometimes in this position, the knee isn't enough to break the grip. So if I push with my knee and it doesn't work, I'm going to take my foot, put it on his shoulder and bicep area, and use that to break it. That's always enough to break his grip. Right? And once you do that, it's the same thing. Your hips come up, shoot your leg around the neck, lock up the triangle, and finish. All right, so one more time. Get the position, stands up. And then also practice using your foot on the shoulder. If this isn't enough to break it, foot on the shoulder, push. All right? 1, 2, 3. So the next one we're going to do is, it's going to be better for guys with shorter legs. So it can also work if you're going with a guy that's like gigantic and very hard to triangle. Sometimes you have a lot of options other than just getting the choke. So you're going to use this, rather than going into the choke, you're going to go right to the arm. All right? So it starts off basically the same. Scoot out, foot on the hip. I break his grip. The leg comes up. And now I'm using my leg to sort of push his head in that direction. So I push with my leg, guide his head, and when I bring my hips out, instead of going to try to lock a triangle like this, I'm gonna push his head down and just bring my leg right over. And the arm is, because his arm is basically already extended, hanging onto your jacket here, you pulled his arm out, it comes on it like extremely quick. Like as soon as you throw your leg over and I just pull my elbow towards the floor, he'll tap, right? So we practice it from the ground and from the feet. So foot on the hip, scoot out, break the grip, and then you're just gonna go all the way to the other side and bring the leg over. Once you bring the leg over, just the grip that you have on the sleeve like that, if you just pull your elbow towards the floor, that's usually enough to finish it. Okay? Same thing if the guy's standing up. Okay? Grip, throw the leg over. Okay? All right, so get out, foot on the hip, break the grip. Try to swing all the way to the other side. And make sure that you're using your leg instead of stopping kind of straight in front. Use your hamstring to push his head out to the side a little bit. Try to make sure your hips aren't tilted out this way. Your butt should be out directly in line with his forehead. Bring your leg over, feet go down, hips come up. The good thing about this is if you got a guy with good posture and you throw your leg over his head, to fight the arm bar, he'll grab his own wrist and try to pull himself into you. Pull me in. He pulls in and he goes right into the triangle. All right, so the triangle and the arm bar always work together. All right, if he starts to pull out of this, bring the leg over, he starts to fight the arm bar, he comes back into the triangle. All right. So now, don't worry about the choke, we're just gonna go right to the arm. Foot on the hip. Right in the arm bar. Practice it from the knees and on the feet. 1, 2, 3.